Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Buy Round. It is the Jam and Cheese Show here today. James Graham joined by Brandon Smith. Cheese, how are we, my friend? Difficult day at the office for the Bunnies, but how are you going?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, we had the last 2 days off, but yeah, just had a pretty lax weekend. I was a little bit sick over the weekend, so I watched all the footy.
Nice.
Did you watch the Lions? I didn't watch the Lions.
Yeah, I was there. I was in, we were invited. Thanks to TikTok and
Did you
the
do
Wallabies.
any TikToks?
Well, yeah, we did. That was kind of the
Like
whole
a dance one, but
no,
or is it just a?
just behind the scenes. No dancing required. I don't really have many dance moves to put on display for the Australian public. Actually, TikTok's not limited to Australia. I mean, wherever you are on the planet, you don't want to see me dance.
Shocker in the pots. What does that mean?
I'll discuss that in a minute. But no, it was class, to be fair. Being part of the, I don't know, but Australia won quite convincingly from memory. 40-plus minute thunderstorm delay, which was a bit of a debacle. It wasn't really that bad. I know the Dogs and Souths went off a couple of weeks ago, but that was half an hour, and literally the lightning shook up the stadium. Like the fans basically just stayed outside.
Where was
some of them got a core.
Oh.
Yeah, a core. But for me,
Mate.
and obviously we're a rugby league podcast, NRL, love our footy, but I do enjoy going to all the sporting events, sporting occasions, and for me, it's a big. That's the goal for where international rugby league should be aiming to get to. A packed out Accor Stadium. Obviously, we've got the Ashes happening in England this year. World Cup back here in Australia next year. We've got the Pacific Championships, I believe, between New Zealand, Samoa, and Tonga. They should be drawing big crowds. I instead of like. You know, we're the best sport. Yeah. I agree. I think NRL rugby league is a more entertaining game, with all due respect to rugby union. I think it's got some great qualities about it too, and I enjoy the spectacle. But you can't deny that they know how to put on an event, and everything in and around Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane over the past 4 or 5 weeks have been super impressive, and I think that's what we've got to aim to get to for our international game. Origin that takes care of itself, but internationally, that's where we got to get to.
Yeah, I think the international. Do you ever think we'll rival rugby at all?
We have probably not in terms of the sheer number of nations, especially with England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, Italy now. When you look at like Japan, Argentina, South Africa, probably not. But where we like the next World Cup, genuinely five nations, I believe, could win it, and that's got to be good. Whether we can expand that number of teams that can be potential winners from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. It is another thing, but I think we've got to have big aspirations.
Yeah, I think we need to come up with a better marketing system, because the World Cup last time, mate, there's not many numbers at all the games, and it was pretty tough to. Like, you didn't really see anything going around in England about it,
no,
or any advertising in Australia for it. So, yeah, hopefully it's a bit better.
Yeah, I'm with you there, but no, the Potts cheese. Is we've had it for State of Origin, we had it for Magic Round, where basically you jump on the Ladbrokes app, go into the mates mode. I think it was $50 this time. I put all the bets on, so there was a couple of grand in there, and what was supposed to be a set and forget weekend for all the tipsters. Even some of the lines on Ladbrokes, I thought, oh God, they've got this out of whack. Penrith in absolute cruise control. It was done. We were making up our own line. We extended the line because we were that confident in Penrith. Obviously, Canberra losing to the Dragons. Nobody saw that. And this is all on Saturday as well, by the way. Penrith getting run so close by the Titans. Yeah.
And Tigers.
And then I picked the Roosters to win, but 1-12. And they've obviously gone and won by more. So, difficult day. But we go again. We're back up for the next round. So, if you want to look, that is the outlier. The nothing back in return. Every single one of them so far has been at least money back, and usually a bit extra in the pocket as well. But I had a shocker. But rugby league was amazing. The Cleary 2-point field goal, the Osako match winner, the Angus Crichton try. We've seen some remarkable moments over the weekend. But geez, probably the place to start is the Tigers and their win. Before we get into their performance, let's address the aftermath, because some hand signals, gestures were made. Look, it is another language for me. If someone did that to me, I wouldn't interpret it to mean what it is translated into. I guess these hand signals, these gestures do exist in different cultures. I've got some friends that live in California, in Los Angeles, and they are of Colombian background, and they have a signal where you basically put your finger and thumb together, 3 fingers up, backhand it and go, and that is really offensive to that sort of South American community. For most bypassers in Sydney, in England, they just go, what is that all about? But that is very offensive to do that. And obviously, producer Tony back there, he said he saw the Tigers players doing it and was like, oh my God, they're going to get in some strife for that. He grew up in and around, I guess, Arabic people where the language is spoken, and that hand gesture is common. Well, maybe not commonplace, but commonplace in maybe a bit of an argument. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, I didn't have a clue what was going on when I was watching it. I actually had a Bulldogs fan at my house at the time, and he was filthy. He sort of said that it was an offensive word and it meant something, but I don't really need to get into it. But he was actually like angry at the screen, like walking around the house, and I just think you just can't do it, even if they're doing it to you. But but it is kind of like the West Tigers mantra at the moment. Not at the moment, but with like Saruva, he loves the just doing stuff to the crowd and stuff. So.
It was an emotionally charged game. I was there for Triple M, and you could see that it meant something to the Tigers. They were taking it personally. Yeah, there was a lot of feeling there, a lot of animosity towards Lockie Galvin, and I think the Tigers they leaned into it, and maybe that, including the weather, that maybe caught the Dogs a little bit off guard. They were treating it as maybe just another game when. Yeah, it was super emotional. Like that, you could see the Tigers players were wanting to like rub it into the Dogs' face, like they had a point to prove. And to be fair, they played really well. Now, whether or not you need that level of celebration, that level of reaction towards the fans, look, I'm sure Benji Marshall and Shane Richardson will be looking to sort of wind the players in from doing that. I don't know if much will come from that. I guess it's a matter for the NRL, but let's focus on what was a tremendous victory for the Tigers, led by Adam Dewey, who was like the first 40 minutes was incredible. Where he got out of that kick-out tackle, the sprint away try off the loose ball from Matt Burton, he was on another level.
Yeah, he played so well, and Jerome Buller. Yeah, like they actually looked like such a good side, and yet they did play on that emotion so well. You could see how fired up they were. Yeah. Every time there was a knock on or anything, they were all in in the group, and every try was just celebrated like it was a grand final win. Yeah, I don't know what the Dogs do. Should they go back to Tech Sexton? I don't think so. Like, if they're gonna make their bed, they got to lay in it.
Yeah,
they got to keep going with this. Well, this is what I reckon. They got to keep going with the Galvin now that they've already gone past Sexton.
Yeah, I mean, that automatically is now where people turn to, and you go back 7 days ago and the Dogs beat Manly convincingly, and it's we're all in love with the Dogs. Then 1 week later, they have a poor performance in the wetter game, which is maybe perhaps another issue. But Canberra lose, and they've gone on a remarkable winning streak, and people shouldn't have lost to the Dragons. No, they shouldn't have, but these things happen. It's the NRL. This is a good thing for the comp, in my opinion, that 3 of the top 4 lose 6 weeks out from finals. And Para came, within an inch of beating the Storm. So that's a strength of our comp, that bottom teams do beat the top teams. I don't think we should overreact. I think we should analyse, look to learn. But just on the Tigers, they've now, despite not making the 8, I think you can consider this a successful season.
Can they still make the 8? If they won 5 in a row.
I think if they win their remaining 5 fixtures, it would be a possibility. But
yeah, well, if they don't win the Spoon, it's obviously a massive result.
Yeah,
the big Spoon Bowl's coming up next week.
Ooh.
Well, this week.
I
think I'm playing as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll save that. Save that, mate. Because we don't.
I don't know yet. I haven't been in training.
We don't want Tigers fans to say that we're glossing over their victory, especially because it was against the Dogs. And look, I'm happy to accept that. I've not give the Tigers much opportunity and much love, but you've got to give them credit. One of the questions now, I think, is Adam Dewey, and he is off contract. What his best position is, I think, needs to be figured out, and what he gets signed as. So he was named in the 13, which I feel is his best position now. He played at 7. He can fill that utility role. For me now, where he signs in what position is key. Do the Dragons make a play for him as their number 7? Do they make a play for him as their number 13, their lock? Or do they make a play for him as their 14? And what position does he remain at the Tigers if they come to the party? That is the big question. But I think what Adam Dewey has proven over the past month or 6 weeks of football is that he belongs here in the NRL, and he needs to start in some capacity for whichever team he is playing for.
Yeah, well, if he puts up more performances like that, he's definitely probably earned the right for that 7 jersey. I think 13's is a good position for him. He's a pretty big body for a half, so it's interesting to see. But Dragons need someone. I don't think the Lockie Ilias sort of is going well at the moment. But yeah, I think he's a good 13 or a 7 or a 6, but they really need to hone in on which one they want to choose.
Yeah. That's the issue, isn't it?
I don't think he's a centre.
No. Well, I was going to say maybe he's too slow, but he showed a clean pair of heels. But you need him with more touches.
And he just needs to play like that more often.
The unfortunate thing for Tigers, and you can. Somebody said this to me yesterday, who I'll keep confidential, but they said,
"No, tell us."
If he stays at the Tigers, he'll end up doing his knee again, or if he goes, he'll end up playing State of Origin. It's just Tigers' luck at the moment. The past couple of years, that's what will happen, and obviously we hope that he does go on to play State of Origin and nothing happens to his knee, but it just would be the Tigers' luck. But they've. They can be happy. They deserve their moment in the headlines for all the positive reasons, the level of performance. From a Dogs perspective, there's some work there to be done on playing in the wet, handling the occasion. But the Galvin thing now is done. It was nice to see, I guess, respect shown at the end of the game.
A little cuddle.
between him, Luai, Bula. You know, it was really noticeable at the end of the game. Stephen Crichton, full-time siren went, whistle was blown. He sprinted towards Lockie Galvin and he just put his arm around him and just gave him some words of advice. I don't know what he said, but you could. I thought that was magnificent show of leadership from Crichton to put his arm around him in that moment, and just maybe a timely reminder of things to do and don't do in these next few minutes where he maybe could have been provoked. But yeah, good on Stephen Crichton. I don't think the Dogs will have too much to worry about. One of the teams that are absolutely flying at the moment are the Sharks. They've gone to 4 in a row. They've not featured in the conversation for the top 4, with the Warriors continuing to slide. Penrith would be favourites, but the Sharks, with their, let's say, favourable draw going in to September, could see them sneak into that top 4 and like completely.
Who have they got coming up?
Let me just double check that, cheese, but I'm pretty sure they don't play anyone in the 8 or competing for the 8, which, you know, as we've seen with the Tigers and the Raiders, and the Tigers beating the Dogs, and with the Raiders losing to the Dragons, that isn't necessarily a good thing to not play teams who are in finals contention, because the shackles come off, the nervous energy goes out the window. Obviously, they beat the Cowboys convincingly yesterday. They play the Dragons at Cogra, into the Titans at home, the Knights at home, and then the Bulldogs away. So, plus they have a bye in there too. So, there's certainly 3 games that they would look at and say we should be collecting all our points there. They're currently on 12 wins, so the same number of wins as the Warriors, but they haven't played. They are owed some points for the bye, and they have a greater points differential. So, all things being equal, if the Warriors lose that game in hand, the Sharks, as it stands, would go above them. So the Sharks in a strong position, obviously closely followed by the Panthers, and with the Warriors in free fall. What have you made of the Sharks so far this year?
Yeah, they've had an up and down season. Obviously, they're good in patches, and then they're bad in patches, and they're good in patches. So hopefully towards this back end of the season, like, they can keep that good momentum rolling. I think they'll be in the 8 for sure. I think they're too good of a side to not be in the 8.
Yeah, Sharks will be in the 8.
Yeah,
but if
they have to be now. They're on 12 wins. They've got one more win to pretty much seal it.
Yeah, but I reckon if they sneak in the top 4, like they'll feel pretty confident.
How far are they off the top 4?
Well, they're basically, they've got the same wins as the Warriors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, same wins.
Yeah. It was a pretty low game, that one.
Yeah. I mean, Cowboys.
That was actually a boring game.
Yeah, Cowboys have got a fair bit of work to do in the off season, but we'll get into our instant classic, cheese, which is all thanks to Classic Sportswear. Become a Classic VIP in the link in the bio. Heaps of amazing offers. I love Classic. Something special coming very soon for us as well. We've done all the behind the scenes stuff. We are waiting to let the public know. We are just waiting for that final clearance check from Classic, but they do have an amazing range for all the grassroots. NRL, it doesn't need to be focused on that. If you've got a junior club that needs some gear, make sure you get down to Classic and do that. Our Classic game this week is the Panthers, the takedown of the Titans. Titans almost mounting that magnificent comeback against the Panthers, and it has now been confirmed that the NRL have issued a $50,000 fine to the Penrith Panthers Football Club as part of the breach notice that has been served, as well as a 5-game ban for the trainer. There's a fair bit to get to in this game. It's obviously unfortunate that we're not talking about Nathan Cleary's mind-boggling, incredible moment of brilliance to get himself in position for the 2-point field goal and nail the execution, as well as Mitch Kenny with probably
Just
one of the
nailed
best
it too.
dummy half passes you're ever likely to see. But on the breach notice, Cheese, what did you make of it, and what do you think should have happened?
I don't think he intentionally did it, if I'm honest with you. Like, they do come under a lot
Does
of...
intention matter, though?
Nah,
Like, you know,
but,
if I'm playing against you,
I know, but it
and
was-
you step me and I clean you up higher, oh, sorry, mate, I didn't mean it. So I
Yeah.
still did it.
But I just think they're coming under fire for, like... Because sometimes they kind of bend the rules a bit, the Panthers, or like push the boundaries. But I don't think the trainer actually intentionally did it. So intentions don't matter. He did the wrong thing, but the way they're getting portrayed is that he did it on purpose, that's a big. I reckon that's a whole nother ball game.
Well, and truthfully, we will never know. We can all jump to the person's defence, and we take Ivan Cleary at his word and the Panthers at their word that this was an honest mistake, but we actually will not know.
It's like winning the ball. Was that the same trainer?
No, I think that was a different trainer, and that is deliberate. But I mean, a wet ball. I mean, what are you going to do? Stop it raining? It just is what it is. But with what the trainer did, yeah, even if it wasn't intentional, it needs to be.
I think they're coming down pretty hard though. That's a pretty big $50,000 fine.
But for the club, I mean, for them, I mean, what's like it's still a
That's a pretty decent chunk for any club, wouldn't it be?
well, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they'd take that. They'd pay $50,000 for 2 points, and
That's true.
like it probably wasn't as game defining as the field goal, or maybe even the high shot that was in it. That was not awarded a penalty try a little bit.
I found that worse than the bloody trainer one.
You thought it should have been a penalty try?
Yeah. He's like out for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's starting to become the general opinion that it was an oversight, and it was missed by the video ref at first sight.
Oh,
as well.
mate,
Like,
when I seen them...
Kieran Foran had to go and say, like, are you checking for that high shot? And
When I seen him get clipped, and then as soon as you see it, Casey Badger goes, clearing on to this point, and I was like, what? He was like pretty, I don't know. He looked pretty out.
Yeah, it did seem like that should have been had a closer inspection and looked at possibly a potential penalty try. You know, for me, for the trainer, and obviously it's difficult to change the rules on the fly, I think when the commission come together or the rules committee come together at the end of the year, if that happens again, you either automatically award the team the 2 points, or you award them a potential 8-point try.
What, like a kick from in front?
So you go kick from where you are. If you nail that, you get the 2 points, and then you get a kick from in front as well.
I'll tell you what, you'll never see it again.
Exactly.
You'll never see it again.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It'd never happen.
No, it would
ever
honestly
again.
never
And obviously,
happen.
I
And if
heard,
it did happen, he's getting sacked.
yeah. So I heard Ivan Cleary's explanation around an interchange. But if a trainer knows if I do that, I cost my team a potential 8-point try, or I concede the 2 points, then it never happens ever. That's what they've got to do. I mean, like I say, the fine, like it hurts the coffers of the Penrith Panthers to an extent, but I mean that's a club that is winning premierships. It's not gonna hurt them really. $50,000 is still $50,000. The 5-game ban for that individual is going to rule him out until finals. But I think the NRL needs to look at just bringing a rule that will take care of business, because there's not a rule that exists there now. But that's just my.
Well, yeah, you just treat it like if it was a player. Like if a player did that, they'd probably. Is there a rule with that?
You know what, Cheese? That's a good point. If a player just ran out like they do in union,
Yeah.
if a player does that, what happens? I don't know. Maybe do it on Sunday. Just see what happens. Just a little experiment.
I hope they don't play like that on Sunday.
So, sorry.
They played their grand finalists, though. So.
I'll ask you about that in a moment. But Nathan Cleary's field goal. How do you have the situational awareness to come up with that? Because it seemed like that 2-point field goal was
off the cuff, eh?
Do you reckon it was off the cuff, or do you reckon it's premeditated?
I don't think the best plan would be to catch the ball running backwards like that. You know how he was running backwards to get to the line? I don't know.
But the fact that Mitch Kenny knew what to do, I don't know if you can just react on the fly. I reckon that's got to have been...
Like start up flat and then run backwards.
Well, you do scenario-based training and it's like, oh, we need 2 points. Obviously, we go for the try. It doesn't look like it's on. I'm going to leg it back to the 40 and knock over a field goal.
He is disgusting, that bloke.
Yeah. I'd like to know if it was pure reaction or...
I'll give him a call. It didn't look like it, just the way he was running backwards, but...
Yeah.
You'd think he'd be standing there waiting. Yeah. It was a
right.
long...
Yeah. I see what you mean now, that you'd actually just stand there rather than run back. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he was trying to push up and get a try the play before.
But, like, he nailed it. It was going over from the 50. It
was one hell of a piece of play. And we've seen some great plays this weekend.
And I've seen so many from him.
The Titans, difficult pill to swallow. After a great win over in New Zealand, they're down on troops. They pushed the 4-time premiers within an inch of their life and arguably should have won that game of football. You play them on Sunday, like you say, but you're feeling confident of putting on the jersey for Souths?
Yeah, that's the plan, but we'll see what happens at training. I'm excited. Like, it'll be my 150th, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. Took it a while to get there. But yeah, I don't want him to play like that. I'd like to kick the 2-point field goal next week.
Just out of dummy half, fake.
Run backwards.
Humphreys, run backwards.
Off the back heel.
Left foot.
No, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I feel like I'm pretty ready.
Yeah. Well, that was our instant classic. And it'd be great to have you, Cheese, back on the field for South Sydney because they really do need it. Geez, it's almost like...
It's actually laughable at this point.
Mate, it actually is. I know in COVID, teams started to borrow players. They were really extreme situations. And you see it in kids' sport where if they're down a couple of players on school holidays, one team, if a team's got a couple spare, they'll borrow a few players. But it is almost getting to that point. Like Munro flying up, what was it, the day of or the day before, throwing him on the bench. And he's a winger. He came on in the middle.
Yeah. Mate, our 18th man was in a moon boot last week.
Well, I think Mamazula's was named as 18th, but...
No, the week before that. The guy that played, Tom Fletcher, he was in a moon boot at training, and he was our 18th man.
Wow.
It's not going good.
That is just beyond injury toll. I mean, Souths have got to look into it about what... If something is happening there, but a lot of them, it's just bad luck.
Yeah, like the shoulders and that unavoidable one.
Yeah. The Broncos, they've lost Willison now for I think 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8, which is tough. He's a magnificent footballer and a big part of what they do. Obviously, it was a huge win for the Broncos, but I couldn't understand. Payne Haas was allegedly ill, but a big call for him to be rested. He gets that level of rest because he was ill. Willison goes off, so then someone's got to play a little bit more minutes. Patrick Carrigan did that, but Tyson Smoothie was on the bench and didn't get on. And in a game where
was Billy Walters on the bench as well?
Yeah, he came on. He got some time, but
but that's weird.
Yeah, to have Walters and Smoothie on the bench. So I mean, I can get it in a tight game where like you keep Carrigan out there and someone doesn't get on. I get that is the unfortunate side of football at times where some players get limited time on the field, but when your middles are playing state of your two middles are arguably two of the best for New South Wales and Queensland and what they've been through. You've seen Haas go down. Like, put Smoothie on for Carrigan. I mean, the game realistically, it was.
And if you're trying to do an experiment with Smoothie being a middle forward player, like instead of a dummy half, why wouldn't you bloody put him on?
I don't know.
They're up by what, 50?
Well, mate, they won by 60. Yeah. But like, to be with due respect, Souths were for me at like 5 minutes after half time. It was done. And you could, if things are going that bad, you could always make changes again. But I just think that could come to bite them in the arse a bit later. Like, you've got an opportunity to put Carrigan on ice, give Smoothie some game time that he's likely going to need, and the Broncos, look, they were impressive. You can't argue with that, but there'll be some things in that game that, like the try just before half time, is one of those situations that you practice and you speak about, but then you've got an opportunity to actually do it live. You guys had that one or two play the balls and scored a try. Mad should be filthy at that. But it's going to be a big game for you for South this week. Obviously, Spoon Bowl, like Des Hasler versus Wayne Bennett is.
We get some numbers back, I'm pretty sure, soon.
That'll be.
I think we get like Cody, Cam, Latrell all back at the same time.
Well, that will help in, I guess, looking to avoid the spoon. Brisbane, they're in the mix.
I just gotta say, Katoni Staggs. You've been calling it for a long time now. They're calling him up for the Aussie jersey, they reckon.
Mate, he's their best player.
He was unbelievable. Even like the chase down tackles.
Yeah.
Like, he was really putting in.
I like Katoni. I think maybe outside of Payne House, I think he's been their best. He was definitely their best last year. And every single week he plays with that same intensity. He's a quality player.
I made notice of watching him because of how you spoke about him.
He's next level. Absolute next level.
He is actually the real deal. Well, that game he was, yeah.
Well, mate, in every game.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Broncos, they'd have aspirations to the top four. They've got some big games coming up, though. I think they've got the Storm twice, which with Sharks and Penrith as well, it's going to be hard for them to squeeze in the top four, which I think they're
Dolphins.
No, the Broncos. I think they'll be. I think they're a team that need top four just with where they're at the moment.
Yeah, there's a big loss last week.
Yeah. The Dolphins, though, they're a big reason as to why the top four race is now open with that last minute win against the Warriors. That's heartbreaking for the Warriors, and it could just come down to 2 points come that first week in September. Herbie Farmworth, though, he's a big loss, isn't he? We speak of the influence of Stag's cheese. Farmworth.
Well, he's been the best centre in the comp.
Do you know he was 18 minutes? He was over 100 meters.
Yeah, he's a disgustingly good player.
Yeah,
Herbie Farmworth. That's going to be a massive loss. You could kind of see it, and he was on too. Like, fuck, it did look pretty bad as well. It wasn't like a
proper sniper job.
Yeah. Thought he could have given the ball a little bit earlier.
Well, I thought maybe was it the hammer in support of them? I thought he might have just grabbed it off Herbie and just kept running, or at least pop it up to him as you're going down. Yeah. But that last try, 10 sets of hands, down to 12 players. That's a big win for the Dolphins in the context of the season.
Jermaine Osako actually had so much more to do, but it was such a good pass as well.
He caught it on the 20, which it's not a given.
Down a number.
Yeah, catches it on the 20. He does have some work to do.
Yeah. What did you make of them not taking a 2?
I thought it was silly. I thought they should. But
I thought it was the worst idea ever.
Yeah, Asako was clearly injured, so it would have been Katoa, I think, and maybe he just didn't back himself. I reckon if Asako was fit, they would have took it. But a big win for the Dolphins. What I think there's one spot left in the 8 with 3 teams fighting for it. Dolphins, Roosters and Manly. And with Dolphins for and against, with 5 games to go, they're 1 win ahead of Roosters and Manly. And because of their for and against, I reckon that puts them. If you're Roosters and Manly have to win 2 more games than the Dolphins to make finals. Now Dolphins do play both Roosters and Manly, but that's the maths for me. They have to win 2 more games because of that for and against. And the unfortunate side is the Warriors. Now I just can't see them turning it around.
Yeah, they're on a bit of a decline.
Yeah. But
did they Palasima or what's his name?
Palasima.
Jeez, he's good. But did he get injured? Was he done?
I don't know. So in that last play, he
tried to get up twice.
He was. Yeah, it didn't look good. I've not heard any injury report or any fallout from that, but it didn't look good. But the final game to wrap it up, Cheese, the Raiders, who have been flying, lose to the Dragons, an injury depleted side that just hung in there. They've had some great wins this year at home against Melbourne, at Cogra, now against the Raiders, the top 2 teams. They've beaten 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Is it the Raiders were off or the Dragons were on? Or a bit of both?
I think a bit of both. I think the Dragons are a good side. They just the ladder doesn't really reflect how good of a team they actually are. In my opinion, I feel like they play a good style of football, and especially against the good teams, because they come and try to punch you in the face and really get aggressive and in your face, and that's sort of the same tactic that Canberra go with. But yeah, it was an interesting game.
It is. I guess the challenge for the Raiders is remaining up for the next 4 weeks. They've got to buy as well.
But we're 8 from 8.
Yeah, like it's a good challenge to have, that you've got to motivate the players, because they'd be starting to get excited about. They rightly so are starting to look at September and be like, we're going to get a home final. Like, how good's that going to be? Which is, it's hard to remain focused when you're playing teams from outside the 8, because they're going to be playing a different style of football. Do you know, like if you play the Dragons that have nothing to lose, like versus when they're going to play like the Storm, the Dogs, or whoever, like, and it's winner takes all or winner gets a week off. It's completely different. It's bizarrely, and I guess our listeners might not be able to comprehend this, but sometimes playing teams that have nothing to play for it's horrible. Do you know what I mean, Cheese?
Well, I think
like you would have
a good
experienced
example of that is the 2010 Melbourne side, when they got all their points stripped off them.
Yeah,
they were beating top 4 teams. Like, you know what I mean? They were playing for fun.
Yeah,
they weren't playing for results. They were just unpredictable teams.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and there's no real consequence for errors. You can sort of play a bit carefree and try different things. You put more of a shift on, and or you have the attitude of just, we're going to spoil this party. And the Dragons certainly did that. But there is stuff to build on for the Dragons with those 2 victories against top 4 sides. I still think they need to make a call on their coach and figure out, is he the man to stay? I still
Dragons.
Yeah, like they've got to make a call on Fana. Like they've got to make a call on him, because he's off contract the end of next year.
I think 100% he's got to be the man. Their daylight's better than they have been.
I'm with you, but I mean, there seems to be hesitation there about whether. Well, otherwise you'd sign him now, right?
Yeah, fair.
Because if you're a player coming to that club, if they're going to get after a marquee player, which they're in the market for, you want to know who your coach is. If you're marquee, if you're legit, like, top few players in the game that the Dragons would look to target, they need to know who the coach is.
Mm-hmm.
Just two quick things before we go, Cheese, that we skipped over on our rundown. Stephen Crichton not charged for that high tackle. Now, I guess mitigating circumstances, the player was falling, but safe off, looking at a 3-game ban, Crichton not even charged. I mean, I don't know. I was...
Safe House I didn't even think was that bad. Was it bad?
Oh... I
felt like it was falling.
I think there was more mitigation in the Crichton one, but I was... Look, I'm not going to jump on and say he should have been suspended, but as a Dogs fan, I wasn't confident our skipper wasn't going to get...
Did he stay on?
No, the person he hit was sent for a... Taylor May, yeah. He was Cat 1. Taylor May was Cat 1 as well, again. And look, the cause and effect, or the effect rather, it is taken into consideration. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised that Crichton hasn't been charged for that offence.
I didn't think it was that bad. I don't think it was like very malicious and it was low contact, but obviously.
But he still cleaned up Taylor May.
But like he slipped. There's way more slippage.
But slippage, yeah. Look, I guess Dogs have got to take it, but this
Brian
just...
Tor get charged at all for that?
Brian Totter?
Yeah, was that just nothing? Nothing.
For...
The one on Philip Sami.
I don't think he did.
There's just nothing.
No. Just checking with producer Tony now on the charge sheet. I don't know if... No. Yeah, fine. So dangerous contact. Yeah.
So it was high.
So, yeah, they've said, mate, you know what? That leans into something that if it was a high tackle, then it should have been a penalty try.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, if you commit a high tackle in the act of scoring, minimum 10 in the bin.
Yeah, mate, I thought it was bad, that one.
I guess the only thing that this leans into is that, I guess, the conspiracy theory that people want to see that the Dogs go well, which, I mean, I don't think is fair and just. But look, there's not much in that. I know Taylor May slips, but really, the Dogs have, in my opinion, dodged a bit of a bullet there. I was very nervous. One of the other things, Cheese, we spoke about the Sharks and how they're flying. It wasn't the best of games, but a dominant performance from them leans into Coach Payten, who is increasingly coming under the microscope when it comes to job security.
Well, what's your thoughts on that, though?
Look, I think him taking them to the Final Four last year probably gives them a bit more runway, but you can't go past the fact that they've got strong origin representation. They've got some international forwards there. They've got some really promising young players. Like, that is the ingredients that all the big ticket items when it comes to teams that challenge for premiership. It's like, what is it, 4.5 origin players or something stupid, which, you know, with Dearden and a couple of others that they have. Talangi as well was an origin player. Who else they got? Cotter, Nanai. Who was the last one? Reece Robson. Like, there's enough there.
Yeah.
Plus you're throwing Griffin Neame, who's played for New Zealand, Jason Tamalolo, John Bateman, who plays for England. Some of those young, exciting players that they've got. Talangi, like I mentioned, who's played State of Origin. Those are the things that most coaches look for in their roster assembly. Like they want that. Do you? Obviously, you're not going to say too much because you're a current player, but is he? Do you think he's under pressure? Do you think the Cowboys have underperformed, or is this just?
Yeah, 100% they've underperformed. They should be a top 8 side. They got some young people in there that are like in some key positions. Like I think that Jackson Purdo or the other young one. I guess it's a hard one, but they underperformed. But I think you have to give him a little bit more of a chance.
Yeah, I think he'll survive the summer, but
I think it'll be a hard preseason.
Yeah, and it's got to be a defensive-minded preseason for them.
It's woeful.
Yeah, the defense. I think back to that game against the Dolphins, and some of their defense was arguably some of the worst I've seen. Like, it was really quite bad. No chase back, no agency. Like, take a leaf out of their. Who was the young?
Tony State?
No, the young halfback that played for Souths on the
Ward.
week. Mate, like the effort from him to chase back, like that shows you care. Like, and obviously he's the debutant and he's eager to get involved, but probably more an attacking.
73 kilos.
73 kilos. Like what an effort. There was one chase back that he did. It was like, yeah, that's what it's about. That's what attitude is. Like, but the Cowboys just, they don't seem to have that agency. I think, like I say, he'll survive the summer, but the pressure, I think, on a number, I hope that no coaches go. It's not something I like to see, but it's just a reality of our sport. I'd like to see no coaches go before summer, but I reckon that means 4 are under massive pressure to start next year. Like, massive pressure. But I do think they should be afforded time. I think O'Brien should be afforded time. I think Payten should be afforded time. I'd like to see Des afforded some time. I think Flanagan should be re-signed. But that comes with the caveat of you're under some cherry measure for next year.
Well, I think the biggest interruption to a team is like a changing coach or... But Todd Payten, he's been around for a while now.
Yeah. I wonder if the Cowboys will look at what the Raiders have done. So maybe there's something in that by Canberra not sacking Ricky Stewart and sticking with him, the lows don't go as low, and because he's got such a knowledge of the club and the inner workings and everything that's needed, it's quicker to get them to the top. You know, because sometimes it is just a fine tune. So if the Cowboys, like you say, if they start afresh, like, you might have a bit of a response, you might not. But if Payten knows what he needs to do, stick with it. Because Canberra a couple of years ago, there was talk like, oh, Ricky's done. Like Ricky under pressure. But by sticking with him, he knows he's, you know, been part of a big changing of the guard there, because he knows what's needed, and maybe, just maybe, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, well, you stick by him, it allows him to see what he needs to work on.
Yeah.
Like you said, Ricky was results-based, and he changed that mindset and made a big shift in the whole team. Like, Payten can find that sort of what he needs to change. Obviously, it's defense. Like, their attack's got no problem. Another year with a young half. I like Todd Payten. So.
Yeah, fair play. All right, Cheese. Well, thanks for joining us here. We'll catch everyone later in the week for Midweek Matters.